Good morning, friends, old and new. If this is your first time tuning into my channel because of the title, you are very, very welcome. Thank you for tuning in. So, today's video is a little bit of a one-off, and it's all about celebrating gardening in the UK. Specifically for this, celebrating growing our own food, because this week is the RHS's National Garden Week. Yay! It's an excuse to party about gardening for a whole week. So for those of you who don't know the RHS, those of you overseas, actually even some of you overseas will have heard of the RHS, but they are the Royal Horticultural Society. Excuse me, a slurp. Still getting over my cold. So our Royal Horticultural Society, they are our one-stop shop for info on all things gardening. Not just veg growing, but all sorts of plants, flowers, herbs, shrubs, trees, I think too. So if you're ever stuck for a bit of know-how, if you're trying something for the first time, then pop over to the RHS's website and you'll glean loads of great snippets of information. So why am I doing this video today? Well, and the lid has been on it for ages, the wonderful Liz at By the Farm and Erica from Erica's Little Welsh Garden decided to set up this collaboration. Oh gosh, it's probably a couple of months or so ago now. The RHS know about it and are backing it, so anyone who's tweeting their videos this week, the RHS are going to be retweeting. But what Liz and Erica wanted to do was to invite the whole host of gardening YouTubers, and YouTubers like myself who do gardening as part of a sort of a broader channel, to make our little video, to put out this National Gardening Week, to talk about why we do it and what we get from it. So if you haven't seen either Erica or Liz up till now, goodness, where have you been? I'll pop links in my info underneath to their channels so you can go over and have a look. They're both brilliant. Quite different, but just really both really lovely ladies. So a massive thank you to them for organising this collaboration, because I think, I'm not sure, but I think there's possibly as many as 50 different channels are taking part. So all through this week we're all going to have the same title for our video. So if you type in that title, you should come up with tons and tons of videos. But Liz and Erica are also organising a playlist. Now I'm so rubbish with technology, because they've been putting out emails to us all to tell us what we need to do, and there's a bit of gobbledygook from them about we all need to give our URLs to go on the playlist, and then it would, I don't completely understand it. I will get back in touch with them and find out how you can access that, and then I'll put a little note about that under this video too. So cheers Liz and Erica. I know it's been a ton of work so far, and hopefully for all of you out there who love watching your gardening channels, hopefully it'll be a really lovely week-long event of tons of us talking about why we do it, why we love it, and other stuff besides. So, I suppose the first question that we're all going to be sort of thinking about answering is, why did I decide to grow my own food? Why have I got an allotment? So, it has started as one set of reasons, and it's grown from there. But I come from a family who have always grown some of their own veggies. My grandparents were nearly self-sufficient in veg growing, so they used to grow a lot. So it's just part of my family culture that we grow our own food, or at least some of it. And a few years ago I moved into my current home I live in London, busy old London, and I live in a flat, a top floor flat. I don't have an inch of outside space. I don't even have a balcony or a windowsill to put even one pot of herbs on. So when I moved to that property, I immediately put my name down for an allotment. I had no idea how long I would have to wait, but I knew two things. One, I wanted a little bit of space to grow some of my own veggies, but secondly, I really wanted some outside space, some outdoor space. I love being outside, and even when I'm not actually working the garden, I love to just sit out here listening to the birds, feeling a breeze on my face, feeling the sunshine, whatever it is. I love to be outside. So I knew as soon as I moved into that flat that had no outside space, that's it, I'm applying for an allotment. I didn't have to wait too long, so the current configuration of my garden and me working it was back in 2013 that I started really working it in earnest. And, you know, it's an addiction. It straight away becomes an addiction. For me, it was a case of the more I grew, the more I wanted to grow. And of course, in those early days, I started off with all the obvious things, you know, tomatoes and runner beans and some spuds and some leeks. But what quickly happens as the years go by is I found I wanted to try more and more and more stuff. And I have, and I cram more and more and more in than ever before. And a huge part of growing my own food for me is about the care of the land. So I suppose another generation might call me a bit of a greenie or a bit of an eco, one of those names. The bottom line is I do everything organically, and I try to do it with as much care for my immediate environment and the surrounding environment as I possibly can. So one of the reasons for me growing my own food is that I know it's organic. So I start with organic seed, I garden organically throughout the year, my harvest is organic. So that was a really important thing for me, because organic food in the shops, it's quite expensive, and you know, I've never had a ton of money to chuck around, so it really made sense to me to grow my own organic food and save a huge cost in comparison to buying it in the shops. It also made sense as the years went by to grow those kind of slightly higher value crops. So for example, I now grow lots and lots of squash, because the organic squash in the shops, they're really quite expensive. Organic tomatoes, all of that sort of thing. So that was a massive thing for me in the beginning. It wasn't just about growing my own food, but growing it specifically so that I knew that it was organic. I know that I'm caring for my immediate environment, but also things like that's cutting down on food miles. I eat seasonally. Apart from lemons are the only thing that I eat which are imported. I don't eat imported food. So again, that's my way of sort of making a contribution to looking after the planet. And of course, there's no plastic involved. So I take my veggies home in a string bag, in a paper bag, in a cotton bag, whatever. There's no plastic involved, and that's massively important for me too. So I think it's very basic for me. Initially, it's about, I want to grow my own food because I want to be more environmentally conscious. I want to grow my own food because it's cheap. I want to grow my own food because it means I'm outside, which is wonderful. But over the years, I think, now how to put this is quite tricky, but I think the spiritual aspect of being in the garden has become bigger and bigger for me. as a sort of byproduct of growing my own food, I now have this wonderful space where I can come and I can be quiet if I need to be quiet. I can come and think and just be alone with my own thoughts, and it's a great space to come to work out problems. It's a place where I can come and be joyful and celebrate with people. I think one of the joys of having an allotment is gardening within a community. So I'm surrounded by other like-minded people, and yeah, that's a massive, massive joy to me. So yeah, it started out as one thing and it's become another, and obviously there are a lot of you who've been following my channel for the last couple of years will know, excuse me a sec, but for anyone who's just tuning in for the first time today, a couple of years ago I had to leave my job as a nurse. I was working in a very high dependency unit, literally non-stop on my feet 13 hours a day, and unfortunately I developed really bad arthritis in both knees, and it got to the stage where I just couldn't do those 13-hour days anymore. So I made the decision, well, my knees made the decision for me to leave work. But what's been amazing is that this garden has kind of held me up for the last couple of years, has supported me, because I'm not relying on someone else's money to give to me to then go to the shops to buy my own food. I grow the vast majority of it in this garden, and I've been growing for the last 6-7 years, of course, but in the last 2 years growing even more and supporting myself pretty much from the garden alone. Isn't that remarkable? Oh, it's amazing. The joy of taking the tiniest seed, putting in a little bit of dirt and watching it grow and flourish. A tomato plant, for example, one tiny seed, and then by the end of the summer this huge plant that gives me day after day after day after day of food. It's just utterly wonderful. I'll never ever tire of it. In fact, I think as the years go by, I fall in love with it more and more and more, and more and more and more addicted to it. So if you've never tried growing your own food, if you've never experienced putting a little tiny seed into soil, watching something grow and then harvesting from it, give it a go. And I promise you, after doing it once, you too will become an addict. Oh! So yeah, this is just a little quirky, quick one-off video as part of this big celebration week, like I say. The title of the videos, obviously you'll see it anyway, but just to look out for, is Homegrown Food, Edible Britain, National Gardening Week 2019. So I had to read that. I didn't want to mess up any of the details. And like I say, I'll pop in links to both Liz and Erica, and hopefully they're obviously more tech savvy than me. They know how to do that whole playlist link type thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, I'll get in touch with them to find out how to do that, and I'll put the information in under here as well. So personally, I can't wait to see everyone's videos, to just hear what motivates them and why they do their veg growing. It's going to be fab to see a gazillion videos. I might have to bookmark a whole weekend just for watching these Homegrown Food, Edible Britain, National Gardening Week 2019 videos. Right, speaking of gardening, I need to get outside and do some of my own garden, because there's a lot of seeds to get sown at this time of year. So I shall say cheerio to you all for now. I hope you enjoy watching this massive playlist that's going to be created, as far as I know. And yeah, pop over to Liz and Erica, say hello to them, because they've put masses of work into this collaboration, so good on them. And in the meantime, I will see you all again soon, back out in the garden, sowing goodness knows what, but I'll be sowing something. So until then, take care of yourselves and enjoy National Gardening Week.